The Locker Room would love to thank its fabulous sponsors, JD Truss, Grand Choice Property Solutions, and of course, Boost Juice. Good evening, good folks at home. Welcome again to The Locker Room, an exciting show tonight. Before we tell you about our special guest, I just want to ask you, does anyone amongst you question the sanity of the world? I know I do. In recent weeks, I've had a number of people come up to me, and I'm very gratified. We're all gratified at The Locker Room. Come up to me and say, Blakey, I love The Locker Room. My only issue with that is if you're sitting at home watching this right now, you probably don't have a life. Suck it up, stay with us. Big guest tonight, Locker Room. Rock on. Welcome back to The Locker Room, good folks at home. Sometimes we get reflective. It is all about the celebrating the history of the great game in this country. The man that's joining us on the couch tonight, I've been privileged to know for near on 40 years. We had a talk before the show and we talked about a lot of people that have passed along the way. Our special guest tonight has overcome a cancer scare. He's managed to shoot himself in the head, which is a special story in himself. He has a wealth of historical stories. He's a lovely man to boot. Peter Blasby, welcome to The Locker Room.
Thank you, Greg.
And Dougie Hodgson, my erstwhile co-host and witless foil. It's good to see you as well.
Good to see you, Blakey.
How are you?
I'm okay, fondling away. Anniversary day today, 15 years.
Congratulations.
Thought I'd better get that in, but I was too busy.
And commiserations to your poor wife.
Exactly.
Pete, it's lovely to have you aboard.
Likewise.
I would like to, if I may, because I know you've got lots of fabulous stuff to share with us, but we did talk before about some of the people that you and I have known along the journey, and Doug has known that are now lost and gone. I want to talk to you on a serious note, first of all, because there's a lot of people concerned about you. You went through a bit of a cancer scare not too long back. We're glad you're still with us because you're a lovely man, but how was that for you?
Yeah, it was. It's a bit different. You turn up at the doctors and you've had all the tests, and then he didn't muck about. He said, you've got cancer. So, you pick yourself up and then you get on with it. You have your tests and so forth, and and I'm still ongoing. It's a 5-year window till I'm cleared, and that's just the start of it. And now I've got to have an heart operation. I got to put a new valve in.
So they got one?
Yeah, I've got one.
People
beg to differ. So I've got to have that sorted out, and we're going through some other personal issues as well. So it's not been a good couple of years.
We're getting old, aren't we, Peter?
We are, my son.
The one thing about Peter Blasby, and we'll tell you about the Peter Blasby story, but the one thing about you, Peter, is you're one of those beautiful, ebullient, joyous people to be around.
Can I ask a question?
No, don't. Just don't go there. We had this before the show. But you've always been one of those incredibly pleasant people to be around, and I've known you for a long time. Okay. So again, I'll just reiterate, I'm glad you're still with us, and I'm glad everything's going well for you. Peter Blasby, be quiet, Doug. I've got important things to say. This is a grown-up show. Peter Blasby, renowned for so many things. My last memory of not my last memory of you, but the last time that was fairly Freudian kind of. Yeah. Pete, I mean, you had an understated but illustrious career, member of the Melbourne Knights Team of the Century, which was an extraordinary thing given how many really audaciously wonderful talents came through that club. That you must be really proud of that.
I am. When the nominations come out, it was an honour to be nominated, and I thought, I've got no chance, because there were such, I can't remember names, but so many Croatian goalkeepers along the way, and I thought, I've got no chance of this. And then the name come up at the function, and of course, I was honoured to receive that.
Yeah, and as you should be. Let's go.
Saying that though, Blakey, going back, and I'm bringing up the past here though. That was the day that you threw the towel in.
That's why it still resonates now.
Yeah,
when I hosted that Melbourne Knights dinner, and I
it was the day you decided that was you going. But you know the best thing about this, Pete was a right winger when he first started. Eastbourne, and he came, mate, right
It's a
winger.
terrifying.
Not at Eastbourne.
No, Eastbourne in England, came to Frankston Pines, which obviously part of my livelihood of growing up, and mate, taught me through the debut.
For?
Frankston Pines.
Well, we got picked up, I was 16, 17, got picked up by...
And this was in the 70s, wasn't it?
In the 60s.
In the 60s?
Yeah, I'm that old.
He's done all right.
And,
he had one paper round.
So we get picked up to go to South Dandenong, who's now Dandy Thunder now, and they played in bright yellow shirts with a black flash. So I'm on the bench at this time, and it's a winger called Johnny Johnson was playing. So he got taken off, I got put on. So I got this ball, I've gone down the wing, and I've crossed it. Bang! It's gone in.
I'll have it.
I love that. 7-0. Thank you very much. That was on debut.
But you spent, realistically though, that was your debut and you ended up being in goal. You're at Pines for 6 years.
Yes.
Won 3 championships.
One. We were down in the. We started off in the Eastern Division, Southern Division, and then obviously we went into the provisional leagues and
went through.
So what was ultimately? I mean, because if we sat static on any single point in your career, we wouldn't do it justice. When was the big break then for you?
1974, 75 season. I went to Albion Rovers.
Yes.
Was that a real good break?
No, I didn't have a good season. And to tell you the truth, I went there the proviso that Huey Mooney was to be coach, Shuggy Mooney, and I was to get a lift with Jimmy McMenemy. I didn't get a lift with Jimmy McMenemy, and when I got to Albion, Shuggy had gone, and Bobby McLaughlin was the coach, and I never had a car, so I used to hitchhike from Frankston to Albion Rovers, which is in Sunshine. And then
Don't try this at home, viewers.
And then Les Shorett used to drive me back.
As a name.
Classic photographer, one of the great photographers.
From Albion Rovers at times to Flinders Street Station, and then I'd walk home from there.
That's commitment, Blakey.
It is commitment, and speaking of being committed, Doug, you need to be. Don't forget, folks, our Locker Room Facebook page, which is quite exciting if you want to entertain debates about the game in this country, and also to our fantastic sponsors. Peter Blasby is our special guest. Doug Hodgson is sticking with me despite the tirade of abuse. Stay with us until after the break. Welcome back to the Locker Room, good folks home. Big night for me, for a companion in the game for near on 4 decades. Peter Blasby is our special guest. And Peter, you were around at the dawning, we've had lots of dawnings of new eras, but very exciting for you that at this point in your career, you got the opportunity to be part of the inaugural National Soccer League, the Phillips Soccer League as it was then. You joined the great club Fitzroy Alexander, playing down at the Brunswick Street ground.
Yeah, I joined Fitzroy in 76, prior to the National League.
Yep.
I went there, Jack Riley was the goalkeeper. I signed for Fitzroy. I played 2 games in the reserves, or 2 or 3 games in the reserves, and then Jack Riley gave me my debut against Moorabah. Prior to playing in that, I played in the reserves. So for the first 6 or 7 games, I was playing reserves and then first team at Fitzroy. So I played 2 games
on
a day.
the same day?
On the same day.
Wow.
And then, obviously, then it went on and I became the regular first team keeper. Jack Riley dropped down. And then...
Jack Riley, of course, was Australia's World Cup
1974, he was Australian...
Just to contextualise.
Goalkeeper, yeah.
Yep.
And then the National League started in 77.
Now, while we're on that, I'm really interested from a player's perspective who'd made that transition from the old state league into the National League, and something that I think a lot of the younger generation, and look, I'm not being dismissive of the younger generation, but you can all get stuffed because I don't care what you think. But it must have been so exceptionally exciting, the build-up to the new National Soccer League.
It was great because prior to that, 3 years prior to that, I was playing Provisional League.
Down the Bronx.
So I've gone from Provisional League to the National League in 3 seasons.
Never such a...
And to me, it was just a game of... Excuse me, to me, it was just a game of football.
That's fine.
Got a glass for his teeth.
It was just a game of football, you know, and I didn't find any pressure at all at that time.
Were the players, though, aware of how special it was that this competition was actually the prototype national competition for any sport in the country?
I think so, yeah, because the whole nation really was involved. We'd all been playing state league in their respective states, and then it became national.
Do you remember the first game you played in the National Soccer League?
It was against Sydney City, and we got beat 3-1.
You dropped 3 in.
Dropped 3 in.
I'm actually curious.
How old were you?
I was tender age of 26.
And before we move on from that, you're talking about defeats that stunk the place up. Were you playing when Marconi came down here and beat Alexander 8-1?
Yeah.
Yes, Greg, I was, and you know I was.
Actually, hang on. Before we go now, we'll just flip it though, just to bring me mate back. What about the penalty against South Melbourne? You say? Can you talk me through that one?
Well, that was it. No, well, that's at Croatia.
Yeah.
That was at the
I'm
Croatian.
just trying to get him back in, make sure his confidence is still.
But
he's just been caned.
I want to focus on the 8-1 game.
Okay, I can focus on that. I mean, I was having a good season up till then, and then Jim Shoulder at that time was to come down and
the national team coach at the time. Yep.
At the time, and obviously he'd heard that I was doing quite well, and obviously I was in his sights, and then next minute I wasn't.
I wonder why. And by the way, I just want to throw in a quick one. 21, you went Man U for trials, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, at 21, yeah.
And how long were you there for?
2 or 3 weeks, that was it, and then Mr. Creran called me into his office, and.
But you had the talent to obviously show people the opportunities and had an opportunity to rise, which is great.
Yeah, that was different. And my five-a-side team at that Man United was Brian Kidd, Dennis Law.
Just a couple of names.
And I used to go in the sandpit at the cliff, in the goals.
Yep.
And Dennis Law used to take shots.
Golden memories. Moving right along now, after you humiliated yourself at Fitzroy.
But on saying that, after that we never lost a game.
No, that was a quality side. But then, what transpired the move to Melbourne, Croatia?
Personal problems.
Okay.
Yeah, personal problems did that. I wanted to go to Frankston City.
Remember as a boy.
I wanted to go to Frankston City.
Because you're living down that area.
Yeah, well, lived to 2 minutes from the ground.
It's a good hour and a couple of trains and a couple of thumbs out to the ride home.
Jim Bengopoulos wanted Jakobanovic.
Jim Mangopoulos, who was president of
Heidelberg at the time, he wanted Jakobanovic.
Yep.
And I believe, I don't know how true this was, he said, if you don't go to Croatia, then we'll put you out the game. So I went to Croatia.
This is before they were in the National League. This is going back to the State League.
Jaka went to Heidelberg.
Yep.
That was in '79. I signed at Melbourne, Croatia.
Was that a good move for you ultimately? Well, obviously,
what I thought, I'm going to Croatia. They're a good side. They'll win things, and that's what I wanted to be part of.
Yep.
You know, they're good players. And
the Burgers at that time, the Fitzroy, how many they had Australian players playing?
Yeah,
so how many does probably half the team were playing for Australia back then?
Yeah, well, Tansey, Coley.
Yep.
Jimmy Campbell wasn't playing then. There was I can't recall now, but there was a few. So I ended up going to Melbourne, Croatia in '79. We won the league that year. I think we won the State League Cup.
It was on a roll. I mean, those early '80s before the club was in the
You
National
got the
League,
Docherty Cup 3 times.
They pretty much won everything. They were the dominant club at the time.
We won the Docherty Cup 3 times, State League Cup 3 times. Ampol Cup once, where we beat Hellas in the semi-final, and we beat Heidelberg in the final. Well, at that time, Croatia had maybe Tommy Cummins was playing. I think he might have been the only international we had, and Butch Kokoska. If you combine Hellas and Heidelberg's team, they would have had probably 12 internationals.
Now, just trust me. This is coming from a man who's managed to shoot himself in the head. We'll top the show with this story. But even if you're being delusional, you're quite right. You played in special teams. You're a special player. Peter Blasby's our special guest. Doug Hodgson's with me on the locker room. Don't forget the Facebook page. See you after the break. Welcome back to Locker Room, good folks. Home, Greg Blake on deck, Doug Hodgson on the other side of the deck, and right in the middle, in the poop deck, is Peter Blasby, our special guest. I have no idea. I'm not a sailor.
He wasn't a poop when he shot himself.
We talked about. I mean, you had some terrific career highs, and we were talking during the break about the fact that there's so many little stories we could tell. But just reel off the list of clubs subsequent to Melbourne, Croatia, as well.
Moorbark, Croydon.
Moorbark, Croydon, Morwell, Seaford, Langwarrin at the tender age of 59.
Wow. Hey, playing in the under 21. How do you figure that one out? I tell you what, he hasn't aged.
And he's still enjoying life, which is really, really wonderful.
He had 10 years. He had 10 years off the game, doing a bit of mobile disco as well, and came back to the. When did you come back into the game?
No, 98, 99.
Okay. And did the shooting incident have anything to do with your brief?
It helped.
Okay. I have to. You've got to tell a story. People don't shoot themselves. This might shock you, but not too many people actually shoot themselves in the head at any point in their life.
I worked at an abattoirs. Okay. And to cut a long story short, I was asked to come to shoot this animal. Well, they have a bolt gun because
the animal have a laugh.
Because it's halal. It's halal kill, and they have this bolt gun with a handle. Okay, so the bulls come in. I've gone.
Just put the kids somewhere else.
I've gone to try and hit it. It's moved. It's hit the side of the knocking box, or the top of the knocking box. I've gone like that. It's come back, hit me on the head.
Did it do some damage?
Yeah, fractured skull.
Yow.
So then I've gone down, and they've come and carried me out.
He's only given to me the speed bumps on the way out.
So the ambulance has gone up the the ambulance has gone up the driveway, which is 1 kilometre long. It's missed the last speed bump, forgot it was there. It's gone over the top, bang. And I've gone.
The funny thing is, this is not funny though. Talking about blood and guts. Now, Blaze, you played with stitches in your hand as well.
Yeah, I did that a number of times actually. At Croatia, I had 6 or 7 stitches in the palm of my hand.
Not good when you're a goalie.
And I think he's passed away now. God rest his soul. Billy Beveridge used to pad it up and put my glove on, and I think the first catch or the first save, it busted the stitches open, and I've walked off the pitch after 90 minutes.
This is where it gets graphic. No.
Blake exhausted now. Before we go into your coaching, because you've had a fair bit of coaching clinics and what you've done with academies and special, name to fame, one of your players
Michael Theo,
who's done quite well.
That came to about when I was coaching at Croydon. Michael's brother come to me and said, "Can you do some coaching with my brother, Michael?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." I'd done that, and we were coaching away, and I thought, "Oh, it's a bit handy." And I thought, "Well, okay, I'll contact Gary Cole." At the time, Gary Cole was coaching Bulleen, and he said, "Well, bring him down. We've got a practice match at Nunawading." So I bring him down to Nunawading. He plays. Rest is history.
So thinking about history, what about the Morwell little? What happened at Morwell there with the young? No, we're not talking about the old.
We were playing. We were down to play St Albans at Morwell. Quinnigan was there. I got a phone call on the.
Where's Monopoly money when we need it, Blakey?
I got a phone call on the Friday night from a person saying no name. So you can you throw a couple in? Because you don't have to bribe me.
8-1.
So we're playing away. I don't know. We're playing away. I think we were winning 2-0 or something. Anyway, if we won, they go down. So the balls coming, belting down with rain. I think I've gone to try and catch it. As people. Yeah. And I've dropped.
And you had stitches.
And I've dropped it. Per normal, as people would say, and it's gone in.
Wouldn't it look too good?
No.
No, it wouldn't look too good.
Was betting days round then, Blakey?
No.
So luckily I was the only person that at that time knew about it.
Yeah, no, and now you've told the world. All
Now
of
I've
our
told the
loyal
world.
viewers on the locker room. Peter Blasby is our special guest tonight. Pete, reminiscing time, and I'm really curious because you do have that beautiful, wonderful, warming personality of yours. And we often ask questions off the top, but who was the most enjoyable teammate that you played alongside? Somebody that you just had a ball when you were playing together?
Keith Adams.
Keith Adams, for what particular reason?
Oh, just because we used to go mad together on...
It's only PG. Forget the R.
Yeah, no.
on away trips, and we have and even after the games and that, we would just... The camaraderie, it was good, and I just... Yeah.
We've had a couple of opportunities recently to reminisce. If there was a moment, and it was lovely getting together with some other people recently.
Yeah, it was.
If you could have a moment back now, and you can reflect back and you go, gee, I wish I'd have embraced that at the time and understood, how important it was to me. If you could go back in time for 1 minute and have it back, is there one in particular that stands out and you go, that was just great, I want that back?
The day that I played my first derby against Hellas for Heidelberg. At that time it was Fitzroy.
And where was that? That would have been...
At the old Brunswick
Street.
Didn't Fitzroy used to play at Olympic Park? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, but then
Before they played at
went to
Brunswick
went to the Brunswick ground,
yeah.
and that was my first debut. Sorry, my first derby, and there was 20,000 people. So
Wow.
And I've come, as I said before, I've come from the Provisional League two seasons prior to 20,000 people.
Do you remember the score in that game?
We got beat 2-1. John Taylor scored a diving header.
Where were you?
Duncan Cummings scored.
Duncan Cummings, what a phenomenal talent.
Keith Webster passed it back to me, and it didn't quite make it. I think Ollie Peter Ollerton scored one as well. I'm not quite sure. I know Duncan Cummings scored.
It's funny how those... See, you've recalled that with great clarity. So I'm going to get you to recall a couple. What was the best goal that ever beat you?
None of them.
That's fair. That's fair.
Who was the best player you saw along the journey?
Best player I played with?
Mm-hmm.
God. I mean, I could say Papuano. I think Jim McLean.
Okay.
Best midfielder.
Okay.
He was just out. It's so good.
Yep. And who was your most formidable opponent along the journey?
Which one gave you the hip and shoulders?
Oh, Gary Ward.
Gary Ward.
He cleaned me up a few times.
That happens. You're a goalkeeper. You're brave.
Ollie used to stick a few in, and I remember Peter Lewis. He stood on my face once.
So beautiful, mate. Speaking of pictures and beautiful pictures, Les, the best photo I remember of Pete because I was a kid was that one that Les showed, and that one, the photo of the year, which is magnificent.
And hopefully we can get a graphic at that. Maybe we can. Running short of time, Dougie, quickly shirt of the week.
I had to bring this one, Sol Campbell's. Mate, talking about bulls and cattle, that was when it was coming into Australia. This is Sol Campbell's last shirt that he ever wore, original Tottenham Hotspurs. Now, Tottenham Hotspurs is obviously
my team,
Pete's team, so that's why it's on tonight. It's like I said, it's foot and mouth disease when it was here in Victoria, but it got through customs. Good work.
Dougie Hodgson, great work tonight. As always, Peter Blasby, one of the most pleasant people that I know in the game and have known in the game, and I always treasure the fact that he enjoys my company too. I'm very grateful.
I did when you was a younger boy too.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks to all the production crew on what's been a big night for the locker room. Facebook page, sponsors. We love yous all. Catch you next week on the locker room. The Locker Room would love to thank its fabulous sponsors, JD Truss, Grand Choice Property Solutions, and of course, Boost Juice.